The SS Grandcamp had been a part of the Texas City port for as long as anyone could remember. The massive ship towered over the smaller vessels, and its engines rumbled like thunder. It was a sight that always made people feel small and insignificant. But on April 16, 1947, the SS Grandcamp would be remembered for all the wrong reasons. That morning, smoke started billowing from the ship's engine room. The crew scrambled to put out the fire, but it was too late. Within minutes, the ship was engulfed in flames. The captain ordered everyone off the boat, but it was already too late. The heat from the fire was so intense that it melted the metal deck. This tragic event left 581 people dead and countless others injured. The explosion was so powerful that it could be heard up to 100 miles away. In this video, we will take a closer look at the sinking of the SS Grandcamp and what caused it to explode. The disaster was one of the deadliest in Texas history and remained the most significant industrial accident in the state. The Grandcamp was a victory ship built in 1943 during World War II. It was a French cargo ship loaded with ammonium nitrate fertilizer. Ammonium nitrate is a highly explosive material, and the vessel was known to carry a large amount of it. The crew tried to fight the fire, but it quickly spread out of control. Soon after, a massive explosion destroyed the ship and caused a giant tsunami that struck the nearby city of Texas, causing extensive damage. In the aftermath of the disaster, many people blamed the ship's crew for not doing enough to prevent the fire from spreading. Others blamed the company that owned the boat for not properly maintaining it. Regardless of who was to blame, the tragedy left a lasting mark on Texas City and its residents. It is estimated that over $100 million in damage was caused by the disaster. In addition to all of the lives that were lost, many homes and businesses were destroyed. The city took years to recover from the disaster, but eventually did so with help from across the country. Today, there is a memorial in Texas City to honor the victims of the disaster. The memorial is a reminder of the tragedy and its impact on those who lived through it. In addition, it is a testament to the strength and resilience of the human spirit. The SS Grandcamp disaster was a tragic event in Texas history. It left a lasting mark on the city of Texas City and its residents. The memorial that stands today is a reminder of the tragedy and its impact on those lives lost or forever changed by it. The Grandcamp was a Liberty ship, one of many that was built during World War II to carry supplies and troops across the Atlantic Ocean. She was named after Grandcamp, Texas, the site of a training camp for American soldiers headed to Europe to fight in the war. The chronology of events. On April 16, 1947, at 8 a.m., smoke was spotted in the cargo hold of the Grandcamp, and dockers tried using water from 1-gallon jugs and 2 fire extinguishers, but nothing worked because there were no flames visible yet. Unfortunately, this was unlikely to be effective as it's an oxidizer and will neutralize the extinguishing properties of steam. The fire may have been made worse by converting ammonium nitrate into nitrous oxide while adding intense heat to the ship's hold. The hatches were blown off by the pressure at 8:30 a.m. A column of yellow-orange smoke blows out, probably caused by nitrogen dioxide fumes. Responding firefighters, including Texas City's fire department and Republic Oil Refining Company's team for combating fires. The ammonium nitrate reached the explosive threshold at 9:12 a.m., triggered due to heat combined with pressure from within the vessel's storage tank. The blast from the explosion sent a 15-foot wave crashing over 1,000 buildings on the land and leveling nearly everything in its path. The Grandcamp explosion destroyed the Monsanto Chemical Company plant and killed 145 of its 450 workers. Flying shrapnel from this tragedy resulted in the ignition of refineries and chemical tanks on waterfront property, adding more destruction to an already torn city block. The ship's cargo blazed like wildfire around them, eventually leading up with one final anchor thrown far away into surrounding buildings. The second explosion of the High Flyer on April 17th at 1:10 p.m. was more potent than that caused by Grandcamp. Again, casualties were light since most people had already evacuated, but it exacerbated damage to nearby ships and buildings, destroying SS Wilson B. Keene in its way. Maritime safety laws and regulations. Today, maritime safety laws and regulations are much stricter than in 1947. For example, ships carrying dangerous cargo must take extra precautions to prevent fires and explosions. And ports have better equipment and trained personnel to deal with emergencies. But even with all these safeguards in place, accidents can still happen. That's why it's essential always to be prepared for the worst. Summary. This disaster was one of the worst industrial accidents in U.S. history, and its effects are still felt today. Many survivors have suffered from long-term health problems due to exposure to the chemicals released by the explosion. And the city of Texas City has never fully recovered from the devastation due to the blast. Every year on April 16th, residents gather to remember those who lost their lives in this disaster. For many, the memories of that day are still fresh, and the pain of the loss is still real. The SS Grandcamp will always be remembered as a tragic reminder of the dangers of careless industrial practices. We hope you enjoyed this video about the sinking of the SS Grandcamp. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comments section below. Thank you for watching.